Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Where Do We Go From Here? My name is Joe Addabbo. I'm the State Senator for the 15th District in Southern Queens. And August 17th is National Nonprofit Day. It's a day that we set aside nationally to show our appreciation for nonprofits, to recognize them, and to, again, thank them for the services that they provide. But many nonprofits are struggling. You know, a recent report for our New York State Comptroller, Tom DiNapoli, said that there are over 33,000 nonprofit organizations in the state, and they equate to about over 1 million jobs. And they do have an economic benefit to our state as well. But it's the services that they provide, the myriad and various services that they provide, ranging from mental health, education, other recovery services, youth, seniors, veterans, a whole host of these nonprofits have these kind of services that we appreciate and we truly need in our state. But like I said, some of them are struggling. They're struggling because maybe the funding is not there or the lack of volunteers. So today's episode, we're going to try and figure out how we can help a new nonprofit or maybe a struggling nonprofit. And that's why I got a special guest for us today. Ms. Fran Scarantino, I've known for well over 30 years. Fran is she is a founder and president of S.T.A.R.S, a nonprofit that next year will celebrate its 30th anniversary as a nonprofit. So who better to tell us how to help nonprofits or how to, solve some of these problems? Fran, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's good to see you again.
Good.
So why S.T.A.R.S? What made you create it 30 years ago? What was the genesis of it?
Well, STAR stands for Striving to Achieve and Reach Success. It's an acronym. And I started it because there was a lack of youth programs in our area. And my brother actually pointed that out to me. He's a few years younger than me, and he just had no place to go and just hang out with his friends. So I looked into it, and I saw he was right. There really was no place for kids to just kind of be themselves, hang out, and also put their creativity and their ideas to work. So I set out to start this nonprofit. I went to different civic organizations. I went to different community organizations, talked about my idea. I had some great volunteers that got on board, you being one of them. And there we go. We started a nonprofit that focused on the youth in the area.
That was a great target. At the time, there was nothing in the area. I remember living in the area we were friends. So you started with youth. What challenges early on did you face? And you got this nonprofit, you got a great vision, you got an idea. Now why, right? So what were the early challenges for S.T.A.R.S?
So many challenges. First, I was young myself, if I may say so myself. So
So
a lot of people didn't really take me seriously. Or some people would say, you know what, that's a great idea. Good luck, kind of thing. A few people came on board, like I said, like yourself, who really put their heart and soul into starting the nonprofit. And then just getting through the paperwork to become a national nonprofit, get a 501c3. Then funding was an issue, and then just being, known in the area, just getting the word out and letting people know that we're there. That was some of the earliest struggles that we had.
I appreciate your perseverance. And then you formed S.T.A.R.S, right? And now, 30 years later, what have been some of the challenges that you faced over the years? Because again, to last 30 years is amazing. So
Thank
congratulations, and I admire you so much.
Thank you.
What are some of the challenges you face going forward?
So the challenges remain the same. Funding is a big issue, especially now. A lot of funding has dried up. Volunteers also remain an issue. Earlier on, we actually got a lot of volunteers on board because, like I said, there was nothing for kids to do. And so people wanted to join in and volunteer. So volunteers now, though, have dried up a lot. People get busy. It's a really busy world. And so to give some of their time and their effort to something that they might not be familiar with has become a struggle. So those are issues. And also, even though we've been around 30 years, a lot of people even still to this day do not know we exist.
Hopefully
Hopefully. So getting the word out, really. And it's a different world today. When we started 30 years ago, we didn't have social media, right? So social media is going to play a big role in helping remain relevant in the area and letting people know that we're here, we exist, and join us.
There you go. So we've identified the issues. Let's go through them. And what would be your advice to help? So you start off with the 501c3. It's a daunting process. Do you suggest that maybe after they file the 501c3, they do follow up with their elected officials, that maybe we can help with the process?
I don't know if elected officials can help. That would be more.
We can follow up in terms of making sure it moves along.
Moves along. Right. Okay, because that would be a great help. When we first started, we actually, if you didn't cross every T and dot every I the correct way, the paperwork came back. And they don't always identify what the issue is. So you have to go through everything all over again. So one of the great things that we had, and I don't know if you remember sitting in my parents' dining room table, is I had a great attorney who volunteered his time to help me go through the paperwork. That would be you. So I would suggest if you're going to find a volunteer or pro bono attorney to help you, or someone that has gone through the process, it's a lot different than it was 30 years ago. So someone maybe that has gone through the process and been successful recently, to find that person to help you get through all the paperwork. Contact your elected official once you do fill out the paperwork so that help them get it along.
Great advice. But now you got, you're organized, you got your 501c3, right?
Which is a big hurdle.
Exactly. Now you cleared that big hurdle, Now you got two other critical ingredients to being a successful nonprofit: the funding and the volunteers. What is your advice for trying to find that funding, and also for retaining getting volunteers and then retaining?
Yeah, great question. Again, it is a different world than it was 30 years ago. I would definitely look into your social media outlets and find your group. I know I'm a little bit older, so I still use Facebook. So Facebook, there are a lot of Facebook groups out there. There are nonprofit Facebook groups out there, and they're your sounding board. So you ask them for any advice that you might need for a particular specific topic. But they also sometimes release information about funding opportunities that might come your way. I wouldn't don't broaden your outlook on everything. Like if you have a specific goal in mind, be it domestic violence, be it youth, be it seniors, don't try to encompass everything. Keep your focus. Don't try to fit your nonprofit into a grant. Find a grant that fits your nonprofit, and then apply for those grants. There are some grant writers out there also. If you're more experienced and you have some funding available, you need funding to get a grant writer to then get additional funding. So those are all obstacles. But find volunteers is the same way. Use your social media outlets, something that we didn't have back then, and get known, and people will come to you. You'd be surprised about how many people actually will approach you and say, how can I help? And take that help. There are a lot of people that are self-starters that feel like they can do it all. The burnout is real. Take the help that you can get. If someone approaches you, get their information, go back to them and engage them, and they will be of a great assistance, because you will get burnt out and you can't do it all yourself.
I think this is great advice. I also love the fact that you are part of the community. So I think these nonprofits, those that are forming it, those that have just started, that they get out into the community, they go to the local community board meetings, the local civic community meetings.
That's exactly what we did.
And you promote it, but you're also in the same respect asking for involvement, get involved. And I think that does help. It helps in your mission statement, and it helps gain, again, more people to come forward. S.T.A.R.S, you do help other nonprofits.
We do. Yeah. We've actually partnered with a few nonprofits over the past 29 years. And we expanded our focus from youth just to make it more of a community center. So we invite other nonprofits in. When we were hit with Sandy, we worked with nonprofits to help out the community in general with that. But all throughout the 29 years, we worked with other organizations and groups, your civic associations as well. And we have opened up S.T.A.R.S to other nonprofits that need a home. Overhead is one of the biggest challenges because it's expensive. We have a home base, we have a building. So if people need a space to gather and to meet, or to host an event, a specific event that they want to do, it's a small space, but it's doable. And we invite other nonprofits to come in, reach out to us, and we're more than willing to help.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You mentioned other nonprofits going into the S.T.A.R.S building, utilizing your space. I appreciate that. But I want our viewers to also understand what you went through, because you mentioned Hurricane Sandy. So Fran's site, S.T.A.R.S, their building was wrecked during Hurricane Sandy. And easily you could have just said, I'm done. I'm out. I can't take it anymore. You didn't. And youth and the community benefited by that. And I appreciate that. But go through that little bit. How you, again, I think perseverance is important for nonprofits. The
Absolutely.
person who's running it, those around them, perseverance to fight, to keep going is important. Please explain that time. That was critical for you.
Yeah,
that turning
sure
point of
was.
Hurricane Sandy, and why it made you famous because of your perseverance and you were on TV, I believe. So please.
I have been on TV a few times. Actually, right before Hurricane Irene, which is the year before Sandy, we actually were on a TV show that ended up rebuilding our building, but did a lot of repairs, and it was
What was the show?
Construction Intervention.
Yeah.
So we were on Construction Intervention. They put some gorgeous, beautiful hardwood floors down, which got ruined in Hurricane Irene. Pulled up those floors, put on less expensive flooring, but then got ruined again in Hurricane Sandy. But like you said, perseverance is important, and we definitely knew that we had to build back better. So now we don't have hardwood floors, just in case we do get flooded, which we have had smaller floods after. Now we have a concrete floor with a rubber matting and then a rug on top that can easily be pulled up in case we do flood, and then dried out and replaced back. So no more hardwood floors for us. But you learn along the way. And you have to adapt to your current situation, whether it be, with weather, whether we did a lot of pivots. COVID was another pivot. We had to pivot a lot with COVID as well. And you have to be able to be flexible and adapt to your current situation. And again, persevere.
I think, the issues of filing solid paperwork, the 501c3, finding the funding critical, volunteers critical. But would you say the other critical ingredient would be the perseverance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
to stop, not to give up.
Right. And you will get those lows. But you know what? The highs are amazing. And so, you get the highs and lows with everything. And you just got to ride out the lows and wait for those highs.
Right. So again, you had gotten the new renovation. Irene hit.
Yep.
Fixed it.
Yep.
Hurricane Sandy hits.
Yep.
You fix it again.
Yes. And then, a little nor'easters along the way, fix it again. Not easy. Absolutely.
So look at a dictionary under perseverance, your pictures. You are a picture of perseverance. Again, advice for maybe, a prophet that's been around, but they're struggling. What would be some of the advice that you would give a struggling nonprofit?
Yeah, reach out for help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Contact your elected officials. Go to your community. Like you said, community boards, your civic associations. Find like-minded people. You could find those like-minded people easily on social media now, and find them and help each other out. Have them be your sounding board and get their advice, get their help. But yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely difficult right now. We have a lot of nonprofits, which is great, but we're all vying for funding.
Yeah.
So it's difficult when you're competing with like larger and bigger nonprofits. So if you're just starting out, look out for the small funding. The $1,000 grants, the $5,000 grants, they go a long way. One of the things that we did when we built Hamilton Beach Playground is we actually won a smaller grant. And then with that smaller grant, we were able to go to a conference that would let us apply for a larger grant to then build that playground. So sometimes you have to do that. Go for the small goals. And once you reach those small goals, then you could get bigger and bigger and bigger.
That is a great point. Again, explain a little bit more about the playground. Again, S.T.A.R.S is a youth center, but you went outside the box a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you built a playground.
That's it. Definitely outside the box is like my middle name.
Okay. Outside the box.
Outside the box, yeah. So we are part of the community, and so we did a lot of things in the community. So you don't necessarily need a home base at first. We didn't have one at first, and we did a lot of things out in the community. We had our first teen dance. We did it in Tudor Village Park. And so we use that. We use library spaces. We use different spaces that are available to the community. But there's a lot of things that you can do that, you don't need specifically a home base. And one of the things that we did is a lot of graffiti cleanups and park cleanups. So we were cleaning up a park that did not have a playground. And while we were doing that with some adult volunteers, but mostly youth, and they said, you know what, we miss having a playground in this space. There should be a playground. How do you call this a park without a playground? So we went to work. we applied for a grant when we did the cleanup. Again, won that grant. Then we used part of that money from that grant to go to a conference about building playgrounds, and we did it with Kaboom, another wonderful nonprofit that builds playgrounds all over the United States. And we won that grant from them, and also worked with them and used their guidance and their help and assistance to then build this wonderful playground, all volunteer built. We had to do a lot of fundraising to get the rest of the playground equipment. The community was amazing. They really showed up. But we had a volunteer that would cut the holes for the equipment before we actually did the build. The build was the following day, and the entire community came out with their own tools, mind you, and put that playground equipment together, put it in the holes. And then we had a construction company that also volunteered and donated their time and their materials to then put cement on the holes, and then we put the padding down. We had an amazing grand opening of that playground, and now there is a playground there.
Still there.
Still there.
Years ago?
Still there.
Right.
Got damaged during Hurricane Sandy. The Civic kind of took it over. They actually got some other community helpers to rebuild part of the equipment that needed to be replaced after Hurricane Sandy.
Amazing. Actually, amazing story. And it all started with a vision and initiative of a nonprofit.
Well, and actually an initiative of a youth who said, we need a playground here. We're cleaning up this park without a playground. So, never underestimate your partners. And again, you can't do it all yourself, but you wouldn't believe the help that you could get from even, the youngest or the oldest. There's no age limit to where you can get your help and your ideas.
Certainly nonprofits don't know age limits.
Yeah.
Help everybody. That is why August 17th, National Nonprofit Day, is so important. So the name of the episode is Where Do We Go From Here? So Fran, where do we go from here? Where does STARS go from here? And where do you see the future of nonprofits going from?
Great question. So S.T.A.R.S will be celebrating their 30th year anniversary next year.
Proclamation coming up.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. Yeah. So we're actually working on putting together some celebrations around the 30th anniversary. And that's where our focus is now. But again, we've expanded not just a youth center, but more of a community center. So we've opened our doors to seniors, to veterans, to obviously to youth, and doing youth activities as well. So we're going to continue that focus and make it more of a community center. We actually had to pause a lot of our activities because of COVID, and it's been difficult building back from COVID. So we're working on that and remaining focused for that. Where do nonprofits go from here? The same thing, I think, really just perseverance. Make sure if you have an idea, and if you have a specific goal in mind, and there might be another nonprofit that has a similar goal or the correct one or the same one, connect with them and do some joint ventures. I think are really helpful to do that, especially if you're struggling or just starting out. I think that's the way to go.
I also think, just to add to that, I also think that the future of nonprofits, the relevancy of nonprofit is going to be there, given the economic situation of our city and state, given the services that the government sometimes fail to provide because of funding. The nonprofits are there to fill in the gaps. Mm-hmm. And so I think the relevancy and the importance of nonprofits will only grow going forward. It's something that we'd like to highlight on August 17th.
Absolutely. Filling in the gaps is really important. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. So obviously, if someone's already doing it, or the government is doing it, or another nonprofit is doing it, you either want to help them out or, do something else, or you're not reinventing the wheel, and fill in the gaps where the things that are needed. Yeah.
Great point. Fran, you did great. And we will post Fran's information on the bottom of the screen, only so that if nonprofits or individuals have questions, follow-up questions, they can reach out to you. Because I know you're there to help too. Yeah. The nonprofits, I know that.
Yes.
So, Fran Scarantino from S.T.A.R.S celebrating her 30th anniversary next year, a nonprofit lasting 30 years. Amazing story. Again, another segment of Where Do We Go From Here? My name is Joe Addabbo, State Senator, 15th District. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Thank you.